York, this hip-hop shit. Yeah, I know this is all I do is stay up and make beats. You know, this is how we make our...
This is John Beal with the MMA Outsider. We got a special guest today. She has a big fight coming up this weekend in ProElite. It's a former Olympic silver medalist in wrestling. It's Sara McMann. First off, Sara, you've made a huge impression on MMA in your short time in this sport. Obviously, you've got 2 wins over, a veteran in Tonya Evinger and a really tough prospect, and Raquel Paaluhi, I think is her name. First off, talk about, how you've been able to do so well despite just such a short period in the sport.
I think that one of the things that helped me transition so well is having such an extensive experience with my wrestling career. The rules are a lot different, obviously, but the same mentality, the same conditioning and intensity that you bring to a wrestling match is very similar to that of a fight. So really I had to make more technical adjustments than I did adjustments in this type of sport.
Right. Now, we don't get too many opportunities to talk to an Olympic medal winner, so that's obviously a great honor, and we appreciate it. I mean, what's it like knowing that you won, a silver medal in the Olympics in freestyle wrestling? I mean, that's something that so few people are able to do. I mean, what was it like when you were up there on the podium hearing the anthem played?
Well, when I was on the podium, I was actually more heartbroken because I had my sights set on winning it, and so they kind of usher you up there like 2 minutes after I lost by 1 point. So I was pretty devastated then, but having years to reflect on it, I am extremely proud of the wrestler that I displayed there. I gave my, everything, all the years that I put in, I just did the best that I could, and I really couldn't be upset with my performance. So I'm very happy to have performed that well.
Yeah, now, as far as, what got you into mixed martial arts, a lot of wrestlers that we talk to, usually it's just wanting to be able to compete, and obviously there isn't a professional, well, there is a professional wrestling circuit, but it's not real wrestling, but, it's just some, it's a great transition, but also it's just an opportunity to keep using your athleticism. I mean, was that mainly the goal for you, just to do something to keep active and keep competing, or was there something about MMA in particular that you actually really liked and really, piqued your interest?
Well, initially I started jiu-jitsu because I didn't really want to wrestle anymore. I think that I just done it so long, and I still had a strong competition heart in me. So I decided that I was going to, take something that was very similar to wrestling, but just different enough that I would have to learn a completely different skill set. And so initially I just wanted to do more grappling and jiu-jitsu. And then I did like a few striking classes, and someone's like, hey, you should try MMA. And once I started doing striking, I just completely fell in love with it. So now my striding is to be an excellent striker, and it's something that's very challenging for me. Wrestling has a lot of different skills, and striking is very different, I think, from my wrestling, and it just pushes me, and I have like a new challenge in front of me to become a great striker, and it sucks me into the practices and keeps me coming back.
Right. Now, going back to one of your bigger wins that I mentioned, it was against Evinger. It's someone that hardcore fans are very familiar with. She's been in there with some of the top female fighters like Gina Carano, Julie Kedzie. So, she had a ton of experience over you. But obviously you went in there and got the job done. You won a decision, in only your 3rd fight against a very respected fighter. I mean, going in there knowing the experience advantage that she had, I mean, how confident were you that you were ready to take that kind of next step?
I think that before the fight, I had a little bit of nerves as far as, like, how will I do on our feet? Because I knew she had experience on me on the feet. I still felt very comfortable on the ground because I've always been, even in wrestling, I've always felt very comfortable on the ground when it came to any type of sport. So I had nerves. I didn't know how she was going to attack on her feet and if I would be prepared for it. But as it got closer to the fight, I felt a lot more confidence, and I just trusted that I put in the right training and that it was going to be displayed in my fight.
Right, and the other big one I mentioned, Raquel Paaluhi. I can act like an expert for one of the few times where, because I've actually seen her fight, and she's a very good prospect, really good striking, and you were able to take care of her also in pretty impressive fashion. So and she, obviously, like I said, she brings pretty good striking onto the table. So going up against someone with a pretty different background than yourself, how did you feel just going up against someone with that kind of a style contrast, and did you feel comfortable on the feet, like you're really starting to make progress there?
I actually felt very comfortable on her feet. There was like a few times in our fight where she, got her knee in between us when we were on the ground, and it got stood back up, and I felt very comfortable. And I was a little surprised about that. I actually learned about that more mid-fight, that I was okay to be on her feet, and that she is such a tough opponent. She just kept coming, and it was actually closer to a wrestling mentality than it was some of the fighters' mentalities, where it's pacing, it's striking selection, it's like setting people up. Her and I went in there, and we both were like, I don't know how this is going to go, but we're going to get right into the thick of it, and we're going to stay in the pocket and just clash heads. And it was an awesome fight, and I have total respect for her. She didn't back down for a second. She didn't tap, actually, until her arm was making, like, crackling noises. I mean, she's just as tough as you come, and I think that she's going to have a great MMA career.
Right. Now, of course, the big thing I'm sure you're focused on is coming up Saturday. It's January 21st. You're fighting Hitomi Akano, another, pretty big-name fighter, very accomplished career in Japan. She's fought Cyborg. She's, fought in the U.S. in Strikeforce. I mean, she's, of course, also going to have experience on you, though at this point, I'm sure you're probably not intimidated by that anymore. First off, since you're still fairly earlier in your career, I hate to keep harping on that, but when you prepare for a fight like this, do you do things and tailor your camp to what she's going to bring to the table against you in the fight, or do you just focus more on your progression as a fighter?
Mostly, I focus on my progression as a fighter. I have different skills that I need to build, and we've just been chipping away at it, like, one at a time, and going through things that are my best strengths and honing them, my biggest weaknesses, and that truly is what's going to help me in every single fight against every fighter. And each one has, like, a particular dangerous area, and I will, I don't completely tailor my camp around it, but my training partners attempt those moves on me a lot, so we make sure that I'm seeing the threat and I'm responding correctly so I can take control of the fight. And so it's a little bit of both, but it's mostly, I just still have so much more skill development in my eyes, because I don't know, I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to the technical aspects of sports, and I want to go out there and do it extremely well. So I've still been mostly chipping away at my areas of need.
Yeah, definitely. Now, when I thinking about the fight against Akano, and like I said, you're probably feeling pretty comfortable right now. Even if the fighter you're going up against has more experience, you've got a pretty impressive 4-fight win streak going. But I guess, how do you feel about the amount of do you feel any additional pressure in this fight, or like the spotlight's on you? I mean, I know whenever a former Olympian comes into MMA, they're going to get a lot of attention, right off the bat, really. But it seems like this fight with ProElite moving up as well as they have, and this being one of the big feature fights on the card. I mean, are you a little more amped up knowing there's going to be that much attention with your upcoming bout?
No, I think that I've already battled those demons about dealing with pressure, dealing with going against ranked opponents, going at really high level competition, and those are things that are just more familiar to me now. I actually started to get to a point in wrestling where it was hard for me to get the athlete response out of me if I didn't have pressure. So I'm actually more comfortable with the fact that she's ranked ahead of me. I'm more comfortable with the fact that she's really experienced. Like, that tends to bring out the best athlete in me. So I think it's going to be a great fight.
Mm-hmm. And you're in a really great division for women's MMA, the 135-pound division. Of course, some of the fighters that you've gone up against or you're going to face this weekend. There's, Miesha Tate, Ronda Rousey's already making, quite a splash. As far as that goes in the division, do you already feel like you're definitely a top 10 fighter and you're ready for pretty much anyone in the world, or do you not really look at things like that?
I don't really, to be honest, I don't pay attention to rankings much, just because they don't fight fight for you. Like you still have to go out there and you still have to do it under the gun. So I don't think about much of the girls. I'm not in Strikeforce, so I won't fight them until like a different point in my career. So I'm happy to be at 135 because it seems to be thriving the most in this very deep division. It's always been a little deeper than the rest of them, but I just go out there and train to be the absolute best athlete that I can be, and that usually takes care of my wins.
Yeah, now, lastly, to ask you something a little bit off topic, but, it was big news when it came out that Cyborg actually had tested positive for a banned performance-enhancing substance, and, certainly it's a big deal in the Olympics and other, competitions you've competed in, and I'm sure they do a lot of testing. What do you think about that, and, what are your concerns or thoughts as far as the issue of steroids and other drugs in this sport?
I don't know a lot of the other girls personally, but it doesn't seem to me that many girls are taking performance-enhancing drugs, and I think that quite a few people suspected Cyborg before that. So I think that, to be honest, if she cheats, I'm glad that she got caught, because we just don't need that kind of thing in a good, honest competition. If somebody's going to win, they're going to win. If somebody's going to lose, they're going to lose. And I just don't really stand behind cheating, and most of the other people at the Olympic level are adamantly against it, and we have rigorous testing, so I'm a little relieved that people don't get away with that, and I think that it'll be less of a problem with the girls, because most of them are, good athletes, but they're not, they don't look so exceptionally different than each other that much, just different body shapes, and she definitely looked a lot different. So
right.
It breaks my heart though, because the 145-pound division shouldn't have to suffer because of that. It already took a hit when Regina decided to do movies, and it's unsure whether or not she's going to come back. So Cyborg, doing that, she was one of the top women that people in MMA followed. So I hope that they don't take out lash out at like the other women of that division and drop the weight class for one person's mistake.
Right. Now, like I said, I appreciate you taking the time. It's going to be January 21st in Hawaii, a ProElite event with Sara McMann, former Olympian, taking on Hitomi Akano, and also plenty of other fights. Kendall Grove taking on Minowa Man. I wanted to give you a chance. Is there any thank yous or sponsors that you'd like to shout out? Go ahead and do that.
Yep, I'd like to thank Trenton Goodale at Limestone Wrestling, Jimmy Fowler at Revolution MMA, Cody Freeland, and my sponsors are Bangtown, Strike Temp, True Wrestler, Battle Forge, and Tussle, and IntimidationClothing.com. So that's who I'd like to thank.
All right, great. Well, like I said, thanks again for the time. I appreciate it, and good luck Saturday.
We all in the house.
Thank you.
Believe until the beats. Yeah.